January 7th, 2025, and as usual, a lot going on in the world. We'll be seeing who joins us to talk about what's taking place in the world. But first, let me let you know a couple of things that are going on. At least 95 are dead and scores injured in a 6.8 uh, magnitude earthquake near the holy city in Tibet. And I know that we've got some connections here at Pod TV to Tibet and Nepal. So definitely be interested to hear how they're doing as the powerful earthquake rocked the remote region of Tibet and parts of Nepal, killing more than or close to 100 and all along those lines. So definitely that is some sad news that is going on in that space. Jean-Marie Le Pen, founder of France's far-right National Front Party, dies at the age of 96. So definitely, apparently some folks, including in the publication Foreign Policy, said he embodied France's dark side and definitely was a leader in the far-right movement. And it definitely seems like that movement is raising its head again. UK leader Keir Starmer slams lies and misinformation after attacks from Elon Musk. And Elon Musk's father, Errol, asked people to ignore son's UK grooming gang claims and says that folks should tell him to get lost. So definitely folks are looking at that. And even some Telford survivors are saying we stand by Jess criticizing Musk attack on Phillips. And pressures are mounting on the EU to use legal weapons against Musk's interference. I find it worrying European leaders fire back after Elon Musk hostile X post. So it looks like he's definitely having some influence that's not on American politics, but on European politics as well. And a beloved Lebanese market, the destruction apparently is very painful. So Hamai meets World Bank officials over reconstruction efforts. The priceless Lebanon heritage sites was destroyed by Israeli bombing and all along those lines. So there's even some folks in the Palestinian Chronicle saying that Israel is having a systematic destruction of cultural heritage to erase Arab identity. At least that's what some folks are claiming. We'll see if others agree. And U.S. transferred 11 Yemeni prisoners from Guantanamo to Oman. So Biden administration sends 11 Guantanamo detainees to Oman for resettlement. So we'll see how they do as they get ready to head back toward the Middle East and all along those lines. And North Korea says the test of their new hypersonic missile was successful. And thus, North Korea had launched a suspected ballistic missile, according to Japan, about 2 days ago, and all along those lines. And Hamas has approved a list of hostages it may free under a ceasefire deal with Israel. So Hamas stands by demand for an end to Gaza war under the hostage deal as the Trump deadline approaches. So Israel bombs Gaza over 100 times in 3 days, killing scores of Palestinians, and that was reported on yesterday. And South Korean authorities extended an arrest warrant for embattled President Yoon Suk Yeol. So, South Korean court has extended the arrest warrant for impeached Yoon. So, definitely, it looks like there's just some political upheaval that's going on in that part of the world. And embattled Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau says he will resign after new party leader is chosen. So, Trump is definitely still trolling with Canada and tariffs, and some folks saying that conversation may have sped up Trudeau's demise. And now we'll see how Canada will handle him next. And of course, Trump had earlier said that he might want to add Canada along with Greenland and other parts of the world to the footprint of the United States. So we'll see if he continues that as well. But Trump's lawyers also are asking Attorney General to block the outgoing special counsel's report. So Trump lawyers are asking Attorney General Garland not to release the special counsel report. So Trump moves to block the report on election interference and classified document cases. And it looks like he tried to block Jack Smith's report, and inmates reject, and some inmates are actually rejecting Biden's computation of their sentencing. So we'll see what that's all about and why they might be deciding to do that. And it looks like Speaker Johnson's push to pass Trump's agenda in one massive bill faced a big hurdle. And definitely we'll see how that goes as GOP confusion reigns as Trump waffles over the reconciliation strategy. So definitely we'll see what goes on and what kind of agenda is passed. And Biden visits New Orleans for a prayer service after the deadly New Year's attacks, letting folks know that they are not alone. And definitely some of the reports are talking about the crude homemade bomb New Orleans terrorist Shamsud Din Jabbar left on the street before the killing. And President Joe Biden yesterday did meet with families of the terror attack victims and everything like that. And snow and ice continue to cause problems for the St. Louis area and other parts of the United States as well. Winter storm death toll continues to rise after cities from Midwest to Mid-Atlantic get slammed with snow and ice. So it looks like a lot of snow has fallen in those areas, and there might even be more coming, even though all we got was rain, even though there was some snow flurries. But there is talk of snow being able to come down here possibly by this weekend and everything. But we'll see if that happens or it doesn't happen. Jimmy Carter's body is to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda as Congress members pay respect. So Jimmy Carter laid in repose in Atlanta, and mourners kept coming well after dark. But now it looks like Carter's service at the U.S. Capitol has been delayed by weather, even though Vice President Harris is expected to attend. And Trump's praise of Carter in death after jeering him in life, some folks are saying deepens a contradictory relationship that apparently they had and all along those lines. But it'll be definitely interesting to see what goes on in this kind of way. And I'll definitely know a lot of folks will be paying attention. As a matter of fact, I just sent a letter to a potential guest, and he was saying that on Thursday there will be a national day of mourning for the late president and all along those lines. So that'll be on January 9th. And most destructive windstorm in over a decade, likely in Southern California. And that's not the only life-threatening danger. So Southern California is preparing for life-threatening and destructive windstorm as the state deploys fire resources. So that's something else that we're seeing in the news and all along those lines. And coming back to Donald Trump, New York judge has denied Donald Trump's request to halt the sentencing in the hush money case. So a desperate New York City judge torched by a legal analyst over Trump sentences, and Fox News is saying that this has backfired spectacularly, and some others are wondering whether Donald Trump will be forced to face justice before he takes office, particularly since they have had that effort to block sentencing denied. And a Minneapolis City Council approves a federal consent decree to reform the Minneapolis Police Department. So Minneapolis City Council approved agreement on federal oversight of the police in that area. So they might be getting some further overview from the federal government. And one of the things that Nick and others talk about is the cost of some of these things, and that might be adding to the cost if we got the federal government kind of overseeing a statewide or a local city police force. So Trump transition continues after Congress certifies his 2024 election win, but former Vice President Mike Pence praised Vice President Kamala Harris for certifying the election and Trump's victories. So there are some folks that were saying Biden and Harris that have agonized ironic roles in certifying Trump's victory, but they did do that and all along those lines. Trump Jr. arrives in Greenland after his dad, it says the U.S. should own the territory. So Trump Jr. arrives in Greenland after his father reiterates interest in the island. So definitely we'll see how that goes and what the fine folks in Denmark and the Danish community have to say, since I think right now Greenland is under their purview and all the things like that. But with Trump Jr. over there, maybe they're trying to work out a deal or something like that. But we did say, as I mentioned it earlier, 2 death row inmates rejected Joe Biden's computation. So they rejected that clemency, taking a gamble on appeals. So maybe they're hoping that they'll actually have their innocence proven or that they'll get out, but they rejected the computation in that space. And Biden has created 2 new national monuments, setting a conservation record. So Biden is to designate Chuckwalla and Satyala national monuments in California. So Biden established the largest corridor of protected land by adding 2 new monuments. So we've got 2 new monuments as well. And Rudy Giuliani is held in contempt of court in his defamation case on yesterday. So his fight to keep home just got harder. So he was held in contempt for failing to turn over property to 2 Georgia election workers, as he had been ordered to do, and all along those lines. And just as I know Rick would be interested in, since he used to spend some time there, Denver's getting hit by some bad weather. So school closures and delays were announced in Colorado on Tuesday morning. Maybe Rick remembers that days from many moons ago when he was in school and all along those lines. And it'll be interesting to see what goes on in that space. Taxes to erase deficits pose political problem for Maryland Governor Wes Moore, and I know he had been seen as a candidate for the presidency for 2028, and we'll see how that goes on. But a Gonzalez poll shows Marylanders approve Governor Wes Moore against raising taxes. So it looks like Marylanders favor Moore over Hogan in 2026 and oppose the new taxes in 2025. So Maryland lawmakers are to address education spending amid a looming $2.7 billion deficit and all in that space. And the Social Security Fairness Act was signed into law by Biden, enhancing retirement benefits for millions. So more than 100,000 Ohio retirees and public workers are some of those that will be getting that money from Social Security. So it looks like there are definitely a lot of folks, millions, that are set to get higher Social Security benefits and all along those lines. And Trump fumes over Biden's new offshore drilling ban and vows to unban it immediately. But there are some folks that are saying it might be hard for Trump to reverse Biden's offshore oil ban and all along those lines. So like I said, there's a lot going on in the world. I was actually reading an article recently where they were talking about how the mayor of DC said that they might be able, and it's a African-American woman, find some common ground with President Trump, and that they will see how they can work together and all along those lines. But I'll bring one of the founders of the network, Nick Palveda, to see what he's got to say and all along those lines. I'll also bring in Rick Rosner, who has, of course, got all kinds of smarts and everything. And like I said, did spend some time in Colorado, so maybe he has some.
It takes a lot to get a snow day in Boulder, Denver. It takes about 2.5 feet of snow. It's like
just because it snows there a lot. I lived there for about a year. And all I remember is during the wintertime, snow in Boulder was everywhere. So much that being from Florida, I couldn't drive in that. So I took the bus every day to Denver from Boulder. I commuted on the Denver-Boulder Turnpike because who could drive in that stuff? You know, it's impossible. But in Colorado, it's kind of interesting because the snow usually melted off the streets because you're so high up in the air. So the thing is, during the day, it'd snow like crazy, and then after a while, the snow would melt off the streets. So yeah, you're right. It's hard to get a snow day.
Hard to get a snow day in Denver and everything like that. I was curious, just really quickly, and I'll ask Jacoby to start off, but maybe other folks that have some thoughts, because I did stumble across the article, didn't get to read all of it and everything. But apparently, the young lady that is the mayor of DC is saying that they can find some commonality with the incoming Trump administration. So is this just some political talk, or are we going to see some folks that are going to try to bridge the divide that is going on between the Republicans and the Democrats? I did say that Wes Moore had been put out there as a potential presidential candidate for 2028 and everything like that. But what is your take about this young lady that is saying that we can probably find some common ground, since even though she'll be running the nation, she'll be in charge of the district. She is the mayor of that area. So what is your thoughts on that, Jacoby? You're on mute.
This isn't coming through.
Did Toby get along with anybody except you?
Oh Lord, am I on mute again?
Yeah. You're good now.
Common ground.
So yeah, I mean, we can all find commonality. I mean, there's common ground in any the harshest partisans. But the problem is she going to allow Trump to just ramrod what he wants, and she's just going to agree? Or are they going to try and truly find common ground? Because he has to bend as much as she does. The dirty word, that common the to be able to the dirty thing in politics right now is working together, and it sucks. It is, but when you try and when they made concessions in the immigration bill, both sides made concessions. Yes, the Democrat Party made more. However, the problem is that it wasn't far enough, as they said. So it can't be this whole my way or the highway system. And again, there's common ground, but again, you cannot just say, hey, do what you want, or okay, I agree with you on that all the time. No, if you're gonna find common ground, you got to come my way too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Before I get to some more serious news and also hear Rick's thoughts and everything like that, I did have a quick sports question to ask you, because when I was watching and stumbled across the news, I did see where a young lady was injured, or at least it looked like she might have been injured, and you've been in the sports world and everything. And I know that there have been athletes that have been damaged, but apparently a young lady, and we know that the Dallas cheerleaders have had all kinds of fame as being kind of a iconic group, particularly since Dallas used to be called "quote unquote" America's team, even though I didn't like that name, being a Vikings fan and everything like that. But I was just wondering, I did see the clip where she literally got popped in the head by a Shanks football. She said she's in good health and all right, but I'm going like, that was a football, and that was coming at some heavy speed. So I'm thinking that she might even be having some serious injuries. But Jacoby, you've been on baseball fields and even hockey fields where sometimes players as well as athletes are hit in the head and everything like that. So I just wanted your take on that unfortunate incident that I think took place in a Sunday night or Sunday afternoon football game.
She got hit in the head
by football. But it's all over the internet because people are all worried about her and really concerned. It was one of them AI moments. They were all concerned, but she said, "I'm all right. I'm a good." Because apparently this was her first year as a.
Mark,
Mark,
I don't have any. We know one thing: the football didn't come from the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, because they can't hit anything.
Well, the Panthers actually won their last game, which I was happy to see.
Football, it's a sorry day to watch the Carolina Panthers. If you want to cry a lot, watch the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, they did that, but they did manage to win their last game, and it had actually been, I think, on a semi-winning streak, because they did manage to win 5 games, I think, this year. But they did win the last one, and proves that Bryce Young will probably be their future quarterback.
Because they win a game, that's it. But I mean, that's all sports have those issues. They had a person I never heard of, and I follow wrestling. His name was Chris Harvard or something like that. Famous wrestler, used to play for Harvard University football, and then got hit in the head wrestling, and had some neurological damage. And people get hit in the head all the time in sports, and people get hurt in sports. Rick.
So I used to check IDs in bars, and one way, if I wasn't sure if it was the guy's ID or not, I'd have him sign their name. And this guy, just botched his name, maybe even misspelled it. And I'm like, dude, this isn't even close. And I confiscated his ID. And he goes, no, I got hit in the head with a baseball. And I'm like, oh, come on. And then the guy leaves, and he comes back with an inch-thick stack of medical documents. Mm-mm. Showing he got hit in the head with a baseball, and it messed shit up. And so I bought him a pitcher and contributed to further brain damage.
That would be my concern with this young lady, because it looked like she was in good shape and everything, but she did go down harshly and everything. But she says she's all right, so I'm going to take her word for it, even though it was a harsh hit that she took on the head by that.
The damage, it turns out that the most serious damage, the concussions caused, is if you get one concussion, and then before you're healed from that, you go back out on the field and you get another one. Those are the really bad. So she's probably not in danger of getting hit in the head with a second football.
Yeah, she's so. In all honesty, she's okay. There are some serious injuries that can come from different things hitting your head, of course. But yeah, that's fine. We can joke about it and everything else. And going to the dark humor side, which Rick, when you dropped in talking about the medical records about the gentleman who got hit in the head that you said, to me, it sounded like you said you bought him a pitcher and not a picture.
No, a pitcher of beer. A pitcher of beer.
Pitcher to throw baseballs at his head.
Oh, okay. So
I got the bad joke and everything.
I used to get punched in the head every once in a while by a bar customer. So I'm not unconcerned with brain damage. If you look around, if you look in the literature, there is maybe stuff on the way that will help clean out brain debris. And I would, if you're concerned about brain damage from COVID or other stuff, take a look at a supplement called Fisetin, which helps your body clean out damaged cells that you shouldn't be holding on to.
Well, speaking of that brain,
Mark, maybe we should have a health show for some of these.
We do have a health show. We got this show with Dr.
Like
Patmos and everything that comes on. I believe it's that Wednesdays and everything like that. So we do have that show that is regularly on medical issues, and maybe we'll talk to Mr. Ross, who was on one of our shows recently about doing some stuff in the medical space. So I guess, as I said earlier, there was a time that we had multiple medical shows, and I had been in touch again with a theologian who is also in the medical space, Miss Grace, and she used to be on some of our shows back in the day. So maybe I'll get in touch with her and she'll start appearing on shows as well. But I was going to come back to some of the hard issues that we talked about. So I'm glad Sasha's here because I definitely want to hear more about what's going on in Canada. But before I get to Canada, should Greenland and Denmark be worried? Because Trump Jr. is arriving in Greenland, and I know that there were some jokes even after Trudeau stepped down that he is seriously considering this notion of moving to Canada. I mean, taking Canada over. And I think that there was even conversations about, what he might do with the monarchy, or Elon Musk with the monarchy in England, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But what is your thought, Sasha, about this notion of maybe Trump Jr. trying to buy Greenland? Is that why he's over there and everything? And then after he goes after Greenland, is he going to try to buy Canada, especially since Canada is about to be under new leadership? So what's your thoughts on Trump Jr. over there in Greenland?
I think generally it's a brilliant strategy to announce all kind of incredible plans which cost you next to nothing. It costs you probably maybe less than $5 to post a message that we are going to take over Canada, we are going to take over Greenland, we are going to do peace in Russia-Ukraine war in one day, we can do this and that costs you nothing. So people are trying to make grandiose plans, and they have to do the prototype of something, they have to make trials of a new product or something. And here, a bunch of multi-billionaires making all kind of nonsense statements which don't cost them anything. In a way, first of all, their names, once they publish something like that, their names is around. J.D. Vance says this, and Trump Jr. says that, and Elon Musk said this. So their names are every day in this information sphere, and it costs them nothing. It's brilliant. These people deserve all kind of respect.
Okay, let's get real. Taking over Greenland is a great idea. If we take over Greenland, there's a couple reasons why it's good. It'll increase the U.S. land mass, number one. Number two, as global warming starts taking place, we'll have more places to live because Greenland will be livable. And the third reason, we'll have Canada completely surrounded, and then we can take over Canada for the first time, increasing the U.S.'s sphere of influence. So taking over Greenland, then Canada is a great strategy for the United States of America.
Why don't you start with Canada and then take Greenland?
Because if we take Greenland, we got you guys surrounded, dude. Okay. We have Alaska on this side, Greenland on that side. You're going to be forced to surrender. You can't play the Ukraine game. Come help me out, NATO, because we already got rid of Denmark. So the thing is, we'll become the great United States of America.
The brilliance of that, as I said before, is that right now on this network, for the last 10 minutes or so, we are talking about complete nonsense. 100% no, 150% no.
Wait. No, not so fast.
Nonsense.
We had Afghanistan. If it wasn't for your boy Joe Biden, we should have kept Afghanistan.
Absolutely. Trump started withdrawal from Afghanistan. Don't mislead people here, Nick. It was Trump who started withdrawal from Afghanistan. It was Trump who did deal with Talibs, who then destroyed.
Hopefully he's getting the error of his ways. If you're going to make America great again, you need to start taking territory. And Greenland would be one great territory to
Well,
see.
How are you going to accomplish that? Just
I
tell me.
mean,
You know,
oh,
Denmark will
not,
keep
not being
West
such international wimps.
okay?
We'll show
Denmark.
Russia who the big bear really is. You know,
Right.
we'll take some serious territory.
Toby, hold on a second.
Oh,
Toby,
Rick was first.
All right. So the economy of the future is going to be increasingly based on how much energy you can generate, because AI eats up a ton of energy for all the computation that goes into it. So Denmark's in a great position. They've got this wasteland, which is Greenland, where they can put up a bunch of nuclear reactors. Canada has 22 nuclear reactors currently. Canada's in a great position because you've got a lot of far northern areas where you can put the reactors safely, where if there's a mishap, all you're killing are polar bears. You already have 22 reactors. The U.S. has 93 reactors, but the U.S. has lots of empty space to put reactors too. You want to locate them if you're going to use them for AI in places where you can put your servers up, and if most nuclear accidents are because people screw up, they do something stupid. Chernobyl was a dumb accident. I think 3 Mile Island was a dumb accident. Just nothing wrong with the reactors, just people misrunning them. But you put them someplace where if somebody does something stupid, you just contaminate, just empty land.
well, we have this question to Sasha
so
before we
just to
get to you and everything.
Just before you get to that question, just to put out a couple of things. One, the purchase of Greenland. Why can't we just make a deal and actually have negotiations? Why do we have to take over? On top of that, how would you, if supposedly people voted on the quote unquote economy, how does purchasing another country for billions and billions of dollars help? And also incorporating another set of people and a whole set of insurance, because they're on universal health care. We are not. How do you take that into account? That's a whole nother economic issue that you're going to have to run into, because you can't just say, well, the government's going to run only their health care, but it's not going to run our health care, or the government can't run any health care. So you can't do that. So the idea that, oh, hey, we're going to vote on the economy, so we're going to purchase these places, which helps the economy, absolutely none. But to get to Rick's point real quick, the energy issue is the biggest thing. Right now, the biggest thing that is taking place, though, is where Canada has been one at the forefront, as well as other countries from Korea. I think it's China or Korea or Thailand, one of them, that's also doing nuclear fusion, which is actually the future of energy. So Virginia is supposed to be opening up their nuclear fusion plant. Fusion gives off more energy than fission. So if you create a nuclear fusion plant and actually invest in that technology, you have more energy capabilities, and you don't have to take over or create another war to take over Canada or Greenland, which
we're not there yet. We're not there yet, because fusion is you're trying to recreate conditions in the sun, and it's tough to do. However, if you do succeed in doing fusion doesn't leave nuclear waste. When fission leaves uranium and plutonium, and like tons of it eventually, and you have to hide it someplace where bad guys can't get at it, where it can't leak. Fusion creates helium. No problem with helium. You fill balloons with it.
You feel balloons.
Okay, let's take a look at this seriously, Jacoby. You're worried about covering the health care of people in Greenland. There's only 55,840 people who live in Greenland. So easily we'll pick up their health insurance. No big deal. Number
is
two,
it going to be universal?
Why do we have to pay Denmark for anything? Denmark can't defend Greenland. They can't defend their backyard.
So we're going to go
we just go in and we just take it. No one's going to stop us. It's going to be like when Putin took over Crimea. Now let's go take over Canada. Now, why do we want to take over Canada? The oil reserves are the third largest in the world, behind Saudi Arabia and Venezuela, those oil shells. And so the thing is, it's a very valuable product to have. In Canada, defend themselves, Canada doesn't even have guns. I mean, so the thing is,
Canada
it's
did. Now we
real
got
easy to walk into Ottawa, take it over, and now we got Canada and Greenland. So I think this is a brilliant strategy. The MAGA group will have their way. They'll send the MAGA group out of
I
Washington.
noticed how you didn't say how many people were living
and,
in
and
Canada.
all of a sudden we'll own Canada and we'll own Greenland.
How many people are living in Canada? And
Well,
again,
we
million.
don't remember
universal
Greenland,
health care.
55,000.
How are we going to take
Greenland
care of
first.
the universal health care issue?
No, we covered the people in Greenland first. It's only 55.
So
But-
I just looked. I quickly looked it up. There have been proposals to buy Greenland since 1867.
Yeah,
And
but why
getting back
why
again,
buy
Nick,
them? We have
Nick.
the largest military in the world. Let's
Nick,
go ahead and take it
hold
over.
on, Nick. You just
How do I
said
have
that
a
we'll
problem?
just cover the people in Greenland of universal health care, but everybody else doesn't. Do you understand, you being in the field that you're in, how many lawsuits we're going to have coming
Who
out of
cares?
the U.S.?
What will happen is the people in
He doesn't
Greenland.
care. It's lots of work for Nick and everything.
Yeah, that's all that's going to be.
It's got lots of work for Nick. I did have a question for Sasha real quickly and everything. Actually, I got a couple questions for Sasha. One of the guests that I sent a letter to be on the show recently brought up something. I hope he comes and joins us in the not too distant future and everything, because he wrote some letters when he was in the military. I did not realize, maybe you knew this, Nick, and I consider myself a student of history, but apparently the U.S. has only not been in a form of a military conflict, because I know you've talked a lot of times about how we needed mandatory service, Sasha, but apparently, according to this gentleman, and I'm hoping he'll come on the show shortly and everything, we've only been out of a military conflict for 17 years of our existence. So it'll be fascinating, because apparently whether it's guerrilla warfare or other type of warfare, there's been literally only 17 years of peace in America. And I'm going like, I did not realize that out of 265 years, whether it was World War I, Vietnam, Korea, the different other wars that we're involved now. So did you realize that there's only been 17 years of peace, Nick and Sasha? And
Yeah, I mean that's how you make countries great. They don't make
I have a
countries
question.
great by
A lot of
surrendering.
strongest and biggest military in the world. How many wars US ever won?
How many have we lost? The only one that we may have
Everything.
lost. We've
By
won
the
everything
way,
except maybe
even
the
Second
Vietnam.
World War, if it wouldn't be for Soviet Union, US would never even land it in Europe, because if they would land it, they would be kicked out and beaten badly by Germans, especially in their prime, 1941, 42. So US is nothing but a tiger, the paper tiger, that has absolutely, it has biggest military, but it cannot use it, or it's scared to use it. And especially Donald Trump will never use it. So you understand that all this bravado about ending the war in one day, and he will punish this or that, and he will take over Greenland and Canada and all that stuff. It's all nonsense. We're already for 20 minutes talking a sheer nonsense.
well, speaking of nonsense, hold on a second. Speaking of nonsense, because that was the question I was getting ready to get to
If you
Sasha
did
and
recall,
everything.
the
Hold on a
United
second.
States was involved
Hey,
in
Nick,
two wars. We were attacking Japan, we're fighting Japan and Germany at the same time. Where the wimpy Soviet Union surrendered to Japan, basically, and they were only fighting the Germans. So if we got out of Japan, we certainly could put.
When exactly Soviet Union? When exactly Soviet Union capitulated?
Yeah, well, it was Russia or whatever the heck they want to call themselves, because they can't make up their minds what they are over there.
You're
know,
talking
so-
about two
And
different.
also Sasha, let's get real. When they were attacking the Germans, well, whose tanks were they using? What military? Oh, they were using the United States, as we sent all of our weapons through archangels.
Yes,
So they
yes.
could-
United States
Because
sent
if
a
they
lot.
didn't have our weapons, the Russia, or whatever you want to call those people over there, they would have all collapsed.
Hey, just really quickly, this is a question for both you and Sasha, and it comes back to our favorite person, Mr. Trump. Are we going to have an actual convicted felon as the president, because he's been certified, but they were not able to reverse the sentences? So apparently this Friday he will be sentenced in the hush money case and everything. So are they going to make him actually serve time? And
No, the judge has already said there's no jail time
Yeah,
involved.
there's not going to be a jail time, but this shows you how weak the Democrats are. They can't even beat a 78-year-old convicted felon. Okay, how could they stumble and do that? It's because they're so full of themselves. They couldn't get a good candidate, and they couldn't get their candidate. I mean, if you can imagine, if you told me years ago that a 78-year-old convicted felon will beat any Democrat. That's
Well,
ridiculous.
and an adjudicated rapist, the
so
guy
is.
who's found
Okay,
live rape.
okay. It's because
So-
maybe our policies suck.
No,
Or
just
spend
point
every
it.
dime.
Let me help you out, Nick. Let me help you out real quick. Nick, let me help you out real quick.
Okay. You know,
As pointed out, because we had a year last year with elections, and it was a phenomenon that has never really happened, and it was due to the phenomenon that happened in 2020 when 2019 is when it started, but 2020. So in last year's elections, roughly out of the 33 or more global elections, the incumbent actually lost, or the actual incumbent party
27
lost.
out of 33 national elections.
So you had only, what's that, 27 out of 33?
Is 82%.
Yeah. So basically, everybody was upset at their government. Even Trudeau, honestly, in Canada, before all this, Trudeau was actually doing okay. But then when the inflation hit, when the immigration hit, when all this stuff started happening, well, actually a little bit before it was a little bit shaky, but all that hit, that even shows he was even hit by that as well. So you can add him into that same pot of incumbent groups that lost. So to say that, oh, well, it was all due to the Democrats suck and they could, no, it was anybody who the Republican Party put up, Ron DeSantis to David Duke, had a shot to win. And the thing was, they could win easy because you had the whole world upset. And when they say that it was due to the economy, it was already baked in the cake with inflation. Oh, well, it was due to immigrants taking jobs. No, it was already baked in the cake for these same incumbents across the globe around immigration. So these things were baked in the cake. So Kamala Harris had a tough hill to climb, and she was put in a bad predicament. When they did blind studies on the policies, everybody liked the policies that were pushed out by the Democrat Party and by Kamala Harris. But then once you put in the names, that's when people said, well, I don't like these guys. So there was much more in play than, they couldn't beat. Well, it was anybody.
There's much more in play and everything along those lines. I do have a question coming back to one of our other favorite women tools and everything along those lines. Elon Musk. Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought part of the creation of the United States was because people, whether they were criminals or not, wanted to escape tyranny and wanted to escape a lot of things that were going on wrong in the UK. So as part of our takeover conspiracy, are we going to take over the UK too? Because apparently Elon Musk is trying to give some advice to King Charles, saying that they should dissolve the parliament, and he's asking them to overthrow the UK government.
I mean, Elon Musk is 20% Twitter troll. You know, he spent $44 billion he to buy Twitter, and partly just so he could troll people. So,
well, the scary part though, Rick, is that Twitter troll now has power.
but not the power to go to war against the UK.
But I want to know, because Nick is a big proponent of us going to war all over the world. He wants Greenland. He wants everything else. So now we're going to be interfering in the UK's politics. So is this something that we're going to take over the UK as well? Because I mean, I thought that we had a rich history with the UK, even from our beginning of our formation as the United States.
Well, what I'm saying is the reason he has power and everything you've talked about right there, Mark, he has influence in all of those things. All these things that the Republican Party said that they were against, they have voted for. Everything is antithetical to everything that they've stood up for and fought against. Oh, we hate George Soros because Elon Musk is literally giving money to the AfD, who has ties to Nazis, that is trying to actually change policy in Germany. So everything that they've said that they're against, they're cheering on Elon Musk. Elon Musk has power. He has influence now. He has paid $230+ million to get Donald Trump elected. He has actually turned Donald Trump to do what he wants. Donald Trump was talking mass deportation, but then Elon Musk says, hey, I want H-1B visas. Donald Trump then says, hey, I want H-1B visas. So he is a Twitter troll, but he has power now, and he's paying for that power. He has Doge. And this is why I asked Dave yesterday, which nobody can give me a true answer for. Doge is no different than the creation of an oligarchy in the US. There is no difference because you have no background checks or anything. It's just rich people giving influence to Donald Trump and telling Donald Trump what to do. That is no different than the oligarchs in Russia that we all complain about. So it's just Elon right now is the US's first oligarch.
To Toby, only some people like you complain. I totally believe in oligarchs. So the thing is, you know,
hold on a second, Nick. Speaking of things that you believe in, hold on a second, Nick. Speaking of things that you believe in,
commoners can't balance their checkbook. So because commoners can't do it, you need to have oligarchs, you need to have royalty, and people that can actually balance checkbooks.
Well, speaking of that, hold on a second. Since you're a fan of oligarchs and since you're a fan of things being taken over and all along those lines, I brought it up in one of the earlier news stories because it was one of the kind of big cities within the Black Lives Matter and everything. You're always complaining about the federal government taking over and it should be ruled by cities and states. But apparently in Minneapolis is going to have the federal oversight of the federal government is going to oversee what the Minneapolis police are doing. So what is your thoughts on that? Because I'm sure that part of that is because of the killings that took place in Minneapolis that were unjustified and everything. So should the police be overseen
Mark,
by
just to correct what you're saying, that is not because of the killings. That is because of politics.
Right.
That has nothing to do with the killings. It has everything to do with a talking point because he's going to do the same thing with Colorado. He's going to want to do the same thing with Ohio. It is a political talking point, and that's the only reason. And same thing with Washington, D.C. Talking point. It has nothing to do with trying to help anything out.
Yeah, I could agree with that and everything. But what's your take on that? Nick, you're a lawyer, so are you ready to take over that?
I mean, the thing is, crimes are state functions. They're very seldom federal functions, Mark. So the thing is, federal government has no business and no money to be involved in state law issues. So if they're thinking about it, I think when the oligarchs get a hold of this, Elon Musk and the smart people, the non-commoners, the royalty of America, they'll toss it because we're not going to spend money dictating states what to do. So it's a good thing we have people
wait a minute, but that comes back to what I said earlier, even with Elon Musk. Wait a minute. That comes back to what I said with Elon Musk and with yourself, because I know you're descended from royalty. You brought it up several times on this show and everything. I thought that part of the reason that folks created the United States, because it was created and then other people were brought in, whether they were slaves or other folks that came in, including some of the migrant population that Jacoby was talking about earlier historically, including some of the Asian population in the building of America. But I thought part of the reason that America was created when, supposedly Columbus discovered it, even though there were already people here and all along those lines. I don't know how you can discover something when there's people already here and all along those lines. But part of the narrative is that they were escaping the royalty and the monarch. So it sounds like you're saying that 200 and something years later, we need to go back to monarchy.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do it all the time. As a matter of fact, in Spain, what happened when Francisco Franco kind of got too old, he actually reappointed the monarchy. So right now the monarchs are very influential here in Spain. They're influential in England. They're influential throughout the world, and they can actually institute good government. The problem with the United States, it's basically showing themselves to be a 200-year-old failure. In other words, it started out like you said that way, but they may have to reverse course. As you can see, they can't even balance a checkbook in Washington D.C. If they can't balance it, we need the oligarchs and perhaps the royalty to come back and balance checkbooks.
So we'll have that's going to be interesting. But I want to come back to something else that I brought up as well and hear Rick's thoughts about this, because I was actually surprised, because we get computations, whether they're on a state level or on a national level. But apparently a couple of folks that are facing death row are like, no, that's all right about it. I think I'm going to get off and be found innocent. So I don't care that you commuting my sentence and all along those lines. I think I'll take my chances with the courts. And I watch enough court TV and even some of the dramas to know that there are people that do that. But what is your take on this notion that they're like, no, that's all right. I don't care that you're going to compute my sentence. I'm going to be ready to take on the courts and everything like that.
I mean, statistically, people on death row don't have the best judgment.
True.
You know, and somebody has estimated that 10% of the people executed had some error in their prosecution that led to serious doubts about their actual guilt. So yeah, there could be a couple people. I think he commuted 37 sentences.
Right.
So there could be a couple people there who might have legitimate claims to not being guilty. But on the other hand, you know, people on death row are generally jackasses. That's how they ended up on death row.
Also, another thing dealing with death row, because I'm completely against death row, because there is no reason why we should have government sanctioned murder. Regardless of it, it's still government sanctioned murder. And then on top of that, the person who is murdered in that government sanctioned murder never really pays his debt or her debt to society. Because
right, they're done. I don't like in movies when, you know, the bad guy gets taken down. He's lying on the ground and he's going to face justice. But then he always had like a knife or a gun hidden somewhere on him, and he pulls it out, and then he gets hit with like a barrage of bullets. And now he's for sure dead. I don't like that ending, because now, his suffering is over. No consequences.
Yep.
Except for
Yeah, that makes sense and everything. Hey, just really quickly, and maybe Sasha or Nick's got some thoughts around this. Do we need new national monuments? Because apparently that was something else that Biden did, and I know that Nick is often time complaining about new expenses that we've got. But apparently we've got 2 national monuments. It's all part of the conservation history that I guess Biden is trying to say that he was one of the best conservation presidents and everything like that. So apparently we've got 2 national monuments that are coming our way, and they're coming out of different parts of the country and everything. So are you going to be visiting? They're both in California, so they're over there by you, Rick.
Yeah, I'm an inside guy. I don't like hiking around outside. It's boring. You know, maybe if I go on a hike, if you gave me like virtual reality goggles so I could watch a movie while I'm hiking. But
my only question, can you charge for this? If you can charge and make a profit, I'm all for it. If you're going to do it for free, I'm totally against it. And because the United States doesn't have the money for that type of trash. And you also
the guy who started national parks is Teddy Roosevelt, one of our great Republican presidents. National parks are a Republican idea.
Yeah, but the real problem is because, again, he doesn't come from oligarch. Well, he's getting close to royalty. He didn't charge for that, so you've got to change it.
You're also going to charge. Hold a second. If I'm going to charge for the gardens we have here in Durham and everything like that, and around the country.
Mark, a better question. Here's a better question. Nick. So we can't afford a national. Nick, hold on. We can't afford a national monument, but we can afford Greenland and Canada?
Yeah, because the thing is, what we're going to do is take over and exploit their national resources. For example, remember I told you Canada has the third largest reserves of oil in the world. I mean, so the thing is, it's worthwhile taking them over. We can make it profitable. Same with Greenland.
How are we going to make it profitable if we're in debt already?
To make these national parks profitable.
No, Nick, you missed it.
How
are we going to make it profitable if you're saying we are in debt already and we have resources here?
Yeah, Jatovi, you need to read my book, Basic Money Grubbing Principles. The principles of money grubbing. Once you understand that, your life will be better.
Well,
for comparison, I looked up how much it costs to go to Yellowstone, and you got a 7-day pass for your vehicle for $35. For a motorcycle or snowmobile, $30. So basically, Yellowstone costs about 1/10 as much as Disneyland.
Yeah, and see, that's wrong. What they need to do is charge about $100 a pop.
Yeah, but Yellowstone doesn't have Space Mountain or Teacups or Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, but you have this beautiful natural scenery. I've been to Yellowstone. Yeah. Beautiful. It's natural, and you need to charge for it. So bring it up, triple the price, and then start making some money off these stupid national parks. Don't
So,
be the freebie
so,
giveaway.
so Dick, I'm guessing that you're also,
I'm going to
Dick,
bring
hold on a
up the
second.
Social Security Unfairness Act.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I guess you're also against the, I guess you're also against the
Act
pay
is
from the
horrible.
Social
This
Security
is
folks as
another
well, because
$200 billion giveaway. People don't understand how much money 200 billion is. Let me explain to you. It's like having everybody in the whole country of Nigeria, all 270 billion,
Nick,
work for you
again,
for free for a year.
Hold on, wait,
And
Nick.
Biden gives it away with one swipe of a
Nick,
pen.
again.
So this was
Let me
horrible.
just
It's
propose
another
this to you
bad
again.
decision.
Hey,
Social
let me propose this to
Security
you
Act
again.
should never been
Let me
signed.
propose this to you again, because you keep saying you're going to make all this profitable. You're going to, we're going to charge all this extra money.
All right, if you want to yell it, so hold on. If you want to yell it,
and Canada also have national monuments and everything too.
yeah, but okay, if you want to yell at somebody, don't yell at Sasha. His country, Canada, only charges $10.50 to go to a Canadian national park.
Oh, well, that even gives you more reason to take over Canada, because they're being mismanaged also. Can you imagine? We can take that national park at 10, increase the prices 10 times, and make America even more profitable again. So now it's making Canada look like even a better takeover position, you know. But that's what you need to do. You need to take over and be profitable. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will bring that type of thinking to the United States instead of this.
All right, so here's some. All right, so the Canadian dollar is only worth about 3/4 as much as the U.S. dollar. Yet at Tim Hortons, which is the Starbucks of Canada, it's only $2.11 to get a coffee. What's like? Should we all move to Canada where stuff's cheaper, or what's the matter with Canada, Sasha?
Wow, that's good news.
What's the matter? I believe that even at $2.11, it's still profitable operation for Tim Horton, and of course they're making some money on food and so on. I mean, it's one of the most distinguished Canadian company. By the way, they're operating in US as well.
They bought Burger King.
Burger King, yeah, that's right. That's right. So I really don't see, it's a cheap talk. The only justification of that talk is that, well, Putin did something in Eastern Europe with Ukraine, something that US cannot oppose and cannot do anything about it, period. So they're now thinking, well, if Putin could do that and he is unpunished for doing that and nobody can do anything in the world about that, so why don't we follow his example and attack whoever it is, Greenland or Canada, or England or France or Norway and Sweden and many other countries or so on. By the way, it's very easy to attack all the NATO countries because they're not paying their dues to the NATO, right? So what Trump can do, he can say, okay, well, if you cannot pay it, your government is not sustainable, and we are going to rectify it. We are going to put our government in charge of your country, and they will definitely pay their dues to NATO. So maybe that is justification. But right now, it's very good policy. It doesn't cost you a lot of money. All this talk, it deflects from the problems where Trump already recognizes that all or many of his promises are absolutely undoable. So he will have to announce once he will be announced as president, inauguration on January 20. He will have to backtrack on almost all his election promises. He will go and play golf and put whoever there is, Musk, Vivek, J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, and all these oligarchs, and just go and do it. Go, I won election for you, idiots. Start working.
All right.
So before we get off and everything like that, I do have a quick question for him about a Canadian company. I know Modern Investment is coming up on tomorrow and all along those lines. And I did not realize, or probably I should have realized that they're one of the more popular Canadian companies is actually part of a big business in the United States and everything like that. Because a lot of people love to find discounts and all along those lines. So I'm wondering, is the new government going to help or hurt Shopify? Because I think I literally forgotten that Shopify was a major player and is a Canadian company. And I know a lot of people that do their shopping through Shopify and everything like that. So is this new government going to help or hurt companies like Shopify and the role?
Here's the deal. So instead of threatening Canada and the UK, the US should reapply to join the Commonwealth. Like, if you live in Canada, you can move to England, you can move to Australia. They're all part of Greater Britain. I don't know exactly what the rules and laws are. Part of the
British Commonwealth. British Commonwealth.
Right. So when we rebelled in 1776, we left the Commonwealth. There are 330 million Americans who want to maybe live in other places. Canada won't let us in. The UK won't let us in. Instead, we should ask to rejoin, and then we can live in all these other exotic countries, Australia, and
but not only that, Rick, I'm thinking the majority of and correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the majority of the people that are using Shopify probably Americans? So we probably could even add that into what's going on, because the majority of the people that are doing the shopping are probably American customers.
Yeah, we love to, but Canada has 40 million people, exactly as many people as California, occupying one of the greatest land masses on Earth. And
second greatest land mass after Russia.
Yeah, you guys have a ton of land. Global warming's going to make some of your land more livable. We should be kissing Canada's ass, and we should be working on ways to unify with Canada.
It's a good takeover target, no matter how you look at it. I mean, the thing is, and if you look at what Justin Trudeau did, he went down to Mar-a-Lago to let Trump know that he was going to resign. So they're already looking toward the United States to be their.
So there's a movie. There's a movie called Canadian Bacon, where an unpopular American president needs a distraction, so he starts a war with Canada. It stars John Candy and I don't know who else.
So maybe that's where you got the idea and everything like that. So Nick, since we've got only about a minute to go, and I know this is part of your great takeover, because I think you got this idea, or you gave Trump this idea because you also wanted to take over the media landscape. Are we going to be taking over Shopify and eBay? So is Pod TV going to be borrowing from the Trump philosophy and taking over Shopify, eBay, and some of these other things? Because you had that philosophy even before Trump and everything. So is this part of our media campaign?
Well, I don't think Shopify and eBay are into media. So the thing is, those two people are not good takeover candidates at this point in time. And the ones that dominate the social media space is YouTube. They have like 2 billion people, Facebook, 2 billion people, and Twitter, which is X now, has 1 billion people. And those are the ones we need to take over. So what we need to do is figure out.
You forgot Rumble. Rumble has got some major increase in their revenue, and they're being seen as a right-wing source of major information.
Yeah, well, maybe we should take over Rumble, Mark. Let me go take a look at that, because Rumble might be a good acquisition, and then we could bring people in from Rumble that will help Jacoby out in his thinking.
I know we're going to get out of here because we got to talk about Ukraine, Russia, and China with Sasha, and he'll have that conversation going on very shortly. So it's time for us to get on ahead so we can
you might be able to buy Rumble at a discount. Last year, Rumble lost $114 million.
Wow, are you kidding me? Is it publicly traded?
I don't know.
Rumble might be a good acquisition then. Of course, if we get a hold of it, it's not going to lose 114 million, because I'm not going to be the Rumble giveaway guy.
Yeah, it is. It's a publicly traded company. Its ticker name is RUM. And
we'll have to look at that maybe on Modern Investments, one of our other shows. But the problem that we have right now is we have to go because Russia, China, and Ukraine are coming up on the Pod TV network, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
How about